William Contreras wins the Silver Slugger Award. Does that go down as one of the best trades in Brewers history? We'll get to that coming up next, among other things, here on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. The Brewers, William Contreras, they made that deal. They got him for practically nothing a couple of years ago. Practically nothing. I mean, they stole him from the Atlanta Braves. Esteury Ruiz is who they gave up for him. He was the 8th-ranked prospect in the organization at the time. That was it. But we'll talk about that and some of the other great trades in Brewer history. Why not? It's a Wednesday night in November. The Brewers haven't done anything at all as far as movement at all, but we're here talking Brewers baseball with you on Locked On Brewers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season. Big return on FanDuel. Place that $5 bet. You'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win that $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. I did lose a bet tonight. George Mason on the money line, up by 2, the ball, and lose. Up by 2, the ball, and lose. It was a heartbreaker because I had been on a roll. I had like 18 straight wins, but that was a tough one. To lose it like that was a tough one. Anyway, we move on. Will Contreras, Silver Slugger again. He is the best at his position in baseball. He is unequaled at the catcher spot. And of course, with the Brewers, they're always looking like, well, yeah, he's under control for a while with the Brewers too, because we don't have to think about a long-term contract for a while. William doesn't want to think about it. He's not talking about it. He was asked it this summer. Oh, what do you think about a long-term contract, Will? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Good. Under control for the next few years, and one of the best deals going in baseball. Honestly, one of the best deals. And was it one of the best trades in Brewers history? Now, Contreras, 3-way deal, Oakland, Atlanta. The Brewers also got Piamps out of this. I still don't know how they were able to get this thing going. But the aforementioned Esteury Ruiz, the 8th best player in the farm system, rated at that time from Baseball America, well, they traded him in the deal. And somehow, by the luck of the draw, I don't know how Contreras ended up here, but Murphy went from Oakland to Atlanta, and the Brewers got Contreras, guy who was known for being a big bat. How was his defense going to be? His defense is just fine, and his bat is even better, and he was a great deal. Yes, let's see how that matches up with some of the great trades in Brewers history. At the top, I always put the best trade in Brewers history, and some of you old schoolers are going to have to think about this, and some of you younger guys out there, you're going to get a little history lesson right here. Best trade ever, December of 1980. The Brewers traded Sixto Lezcano, who I loved, but he was coming off a down year. They traded Sixto, Larry Sorensen, middle of the rotation guy, Dave LaPointe, guy in their farm system, and David Green. He was one of their top prospects at the time. So they gave away David Green, David LaPointe, Larry Sorensen, and Sixto. In return, the Brewers got Raleigh Fingers, Ted Simmons, and Pete Vukovich. So that following season, Raleigh, in the split season, wins an MVP and Cy Young in the same season. I believe he was the first pitcher to ever do that, to win a Cy Young and an MVP in the same year. If he wasn't the first, he was one of the first. Out of the closer spot, that's how dominant Raleigh was in helping the Brewers get to their first postseason in 1981. It wasn't 82 that they got to their first postseason. It was actually 81 during that split season. And they lost to the Yankees in the divisional playoffs that year. The Brewers were the winners of the second half of the season. The Yankees were the winners of the first half. That was the strike season. So the first half winners met the second half winners, and the Brewers Raleigh Fingers is on one of the highlights. I don't have to explain who Raleigh Fingers is. I think we all know. Hopefully, everybody knows number 34. His number's up at AmFam, one of the best closers in Brewers history. So, Raleigh Fingers, Ted Simmons. We had a down year in 81, but eventually big contributor in 82 and 83. And then Pete Vukovich, who won the Cy Young in 1982, although he was hurt during the postseason. So you had Raleigh, and Raleigh was hurt during the postseason in 82 as well. You got Raleigh, Simmons, and Pete Vukovich, who got you to a World Series. In return, Sixto Loscando, who did nothing after he left here, ended up in Philadelphia. Larry Sorensen did nothing. Dave LaPointe, David Green, nothing. To me, that is still going to go down as one of the best Brewer trades ever. Getting Sixto, or trading Sixto, who I loved, for Raleigh Fingers, Pete Vukovich, and Ted Simmons. That was one heck of a deal. Christian Yelich, getting him from the Marlins for Lewis Brinson and 3 others. And I remember that when that deal was made, I was working at 1250 in Milwaukee, and God, people were against trading Lewis Brinson. It worked out terrifically for the Brewers for a while when Yelich was at his MVP self. Last 4 years haven't been great by the standards he set when he first got here. But still, you take that trade. Yelich, obviously, big part of the reason why in 2018 they went to the NLCS in Game 7. Christian Yelich for Lewis Brinson and 3 others. An amazing deal. I still think the Contreras move is better than that one, though. Because Yelich, had he maintained his superstar status, then that easily wins. But Contreras is an all-star, and he got him for nothing. Really nothing. Don Sutton, they got him in 1983, deadline deal. Don Sutton from the Astros for, I should say 1982, they got him for Kevin Bass, who went on to have some decent years with the Astros. But Don Sutton, they don't get to the 82 World Series. Don Sutton was here and was phenomenal. He was that veteran that they put in that rotation. You know, he made his mark with the Dodgers. He was an aging veteran, but he was great. Don Sutton, 82 Brewers. The Contreras move is better than that one. No. CC Sabathia. We all remember this one. 2008. And they picked him up right before the All-Star break, I want to say. It was 4th of July weekend. It was on a golf course in and this is before texting came along. I was on a golf course somewhere. Where was I? I was in Waukesha late on a Sunday night, and it became more and more evident that the Brewers are going to make this move and get CC Sabathia. I was just watching. Twitter wasn't around, but I was watching blogs that the Journal Sentinel was putting out, and sure enough, they got CC Sabathia for Matt Laporta. CC, and Doug Melvin said this at the time, they picked up CC Sabathia, and they were going to give up whatever they could for him because they had to break that 26-year drought of not making the postseason. From 82 to 2008, no postseasons, no division titles, nothing. CC put them over the top. We know how great CC was. That, in the short term, that was just an awesome move. Awesome move. But I still think the Contreras move is better because it was longer term. But still, the Sabathia move, one of the great trades in Brewers history. We're going to go back now. And I think the guy I'm going to mention right now, his jersey should be retired by the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm not talking about Jim Gantner, who I think should also have his jersey retired. I'm talking about the first baseman, number 15, Cecil Cooper. For 10 years, he was a consistent 300 hitter with the Brewers. Had their biggest hit in Brewers history, a 2-run single in the 82 ALCS Game 5, the clincher over the California Angels, with Gantner sliding across home plate, and that gave the Brewers the lead. against the Angels and a lead they would hold on to and win. But not only for that, Cooper, 1 year he batted .352. 1 year, I think it was .313 in there, but he was always a 20 to 30 home run guy and one of the best hitters in baseball. At the time, from the late 70s through the early to mid 80s, Cecil Cooper is one of the best hitters in baseball. I still don't understand why his jersey was not retired. Now, when I was a kid, Cecil Cooper would never sign an autograph for me because I'd go up to the guy. And this always bothered me about Coop because I was one of those kids at County Stadium. I went to the Brewers parking lot like some of us did. And when the players were coming out of their car, you couldn't do this today because it's all secured. Players, we knew where the players' parking lot is. It was right by the office. They'd come out of their car and walk right in. You know, and 10-year-olds like me were going up to Coop, getting his autographed. And Cooper would just walk in and shake his head, no, not today. Although Robin, Molitor, and everybody else, Gorman, Ogilvy, all the stars signed, Cecil Cooper would not be signing autographs when I was a kid. That bothered me, but I still think he should have his jersey retired. He doesn't, it's not, I don't know what the reason is. Nobody brings it up, but when I say Cooper his jersey should be retired, people, well, yeah, he was great. Oh, Cecil Cooper, wow, one of the best hitters in baseball. Coop. Well, anyway, they traded him. They got him from the Red Sox in 1977 for George Scott and Bernie Carble, an aging George Scott, who was a star here. Okay, Gold Glover and Bernie Carble. Great trade for the Brewers. At the time, you didn't think so, but it turned out to be. I think Cooper was lodged in a first base jam in Boston. He wasn't getting on the field, but he came here and he played every day. How about getting Zach Greinke for the 2011 season? Yeah, they had to give up Kane in that deal, but Zach Greinke got them to the 2000 NLCS. Helped get them to the 2000 NLCS in 2011. He was great here. He was. Still pitching. I don't think he's officially retired, actually. But I thought the Greinke move, it was December of 2010, I believe. Late night on a Saturday night. Because my broadcast partner, Mike Wickett at the time, texted me in the middle of the night. I was like, why is my phone going off at 1 o'clock in the morning? It was Wickett telling me about Zach Greinke. Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. For that matter, getting K-Rod at the All-Star break in 2011, that was pretty clutch. That's not on my list, but I just thought of that right now. That was a darn good move. Getting K-Rod in 2011. Doesn't go on the all-timers, but it's worth a mention. Willy Adames. Getting Willy Adames from Tampa for J.P. Firehausen and some other guy that I can't think of at the top of my head. But Willy Adames, Willie went on to be Willie with the Brewers and wore out his controllable years with the Brewers, and that's why we're saying goodbye to Willie. And we are saying goodbye to Willie. But I think getting Willie from Tampa, that goes down to me as better than the Contreras deal. Because Willy Adames was so important in so many different ways. Locker room, at the plate, of course, defense, just really an integral part of this Brewers franchise over the last several years. And you could say, well, they haven't got by the first round, but where would they have been without Willy Adames? Yeah, that goes down as one of the best trades in Brewers history. So I would say that is better than the Contreras deal. Ben Ogilvy for Jim Slayton. I mean, that doesn't rank as my top 5, but that was a pretty good deal. And then Slayton later came back to the Brewers. I believe the following year, they got him from the Tigers. They might have got him in free agency or a trade or whatever. I don't know if he was released by the Tigers. But Ben Ogilvy went on left field. 1 year he hit 41 home runs. Benji was great in left field, number 24. And that was a steal for Jim Slayton, getting Ben Ogilvy from the Tigers. Harry Dalton, way to go. Harry Dalton pulling off a lot of these. The Cecil Cooper deal, Don Sutton deal. Also the deal for Raleigh, Vukovic, and Simmons. Harry Dalton, who's on the Walk of Fame outside of AmFam Field. Harry Dalton, the late Harry Dalton. So there's some trades that were better, others, but that a Contreras move fits right in there. 2 years in a row, he's been offensively great for the Milwaukee Brewers, helping to lead this guy. You can't take him helping to lead this team. You can't take him out of the lineup because when he catches, he's great. And then when you got to give him a day off from catching, you got to keep him in the lineup as the DH. You got to keep that bat in the lineup. It wasn't like that at the beginning, but then they realized, man, we can't take this guy at the field. We got to get him in the everyday lineup. And that was a smart move. Playing, there might have been a time in baseball they wouldn't have moved him to DH, but they did. Contreras, I love it. As it is, the guy catches a lot anyway. I would be good if he took a couple more days off and DH'd, but he does catch a heck of a lot. All right, we're overdue for a break. This is Chuck Freeman. When we come back, we'll talk about what is going on with Adames. Who are some of the possible names out there that are interested in Willie? We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Locked On Brewers and SelectQuote. The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing, teamwork. Teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find the right policy to keep your financial legacy in your family's end zone. It's so important to have life insurance to cover your family for the unexpected. You don't know, but you need that. You need to think of your family. You really do. Your family always comes first. And SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers, finding over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. The year I graduated from high school. Don't do the math. But, yeah, you need life insurance. You need something to back you up for the unexpected. I think this is a no-brainer right here. And they're going to get you the best quote at SelectQuote. Again, they're America's leading insurance broker. They're going to find you the best quote out there. Go to SelectQuote right now, or at least after this podcast. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, all you everydayers, by the way, for joining me on Locked On Brewers. There we are, Wednesday in the middle of November. It's raining outside in Wisconsin. Couldn't golf today because the temperatures were in the 30s. A gloom is starting to set in here in the state. But you know what? I love it because, I don't love the weather, but I love it because we get to talk Brewers baseball. We get to talk Brewers baseball with you. And that always, that is cool and something. That's the winter, the hot stove league, getting you thinking about the summertime already and getting you thinking about getting in a ballpark in early April. I mean, that's good with me. And the Brewers have obviously a busy winter ahead of them. We're going to tell you something about keeping the blood flowing as far as Brewers baseball going. That's going to be happening at AmFam Field coming up here in a little bit. We'll get to that here in a second. So, the Yankees, apparently, shocking. Someone say shocking that the Yankees are interested in Willy Adames and maybe moving him to third base. Apparently Willie's open to playing third base. But the numbers are kind of being floated out there right now for Willie. Anywhere from 6 to 7 years and $170 to $180 million, I'm hearing. So that's upward of close to $30 million a year. You're talking 7 years for Willie when he's 37 or 36. No. 30 million at that point. No. And Willie's going to get it, but it shouldn't be with the Brewers. In no world should the Brewers give Willy Adames 6 years or 7 years at $30 million or $25 million or even $20 million. $20 million, 7 years? No. I would do Bregman for 4 years at 25 to 30 million. I would do that, but I'm not going 7 years with anybody who's 30 years old. And Willie's going to be 30 years old next summer. The Adames, the Yankees continue to be interested. The Dodgers, and I'm also hearing the San Francisco Giants continue to show the interest. We'll see when it breaks. The Brewers keep seeing reports that Max Scherzer, the rumors out there, he made 17 starts last year. He's 40 years old. You know how I feel about picking up these guys who are at the way end of their careers. I'm not age discriminating here, not at all. But I'm all for, older guys like me. I don't want to say I'm older, but I'm saying, being employed, but pitching in a Major League Baseball team when I'm trying to win a playoff game, I don't want Max Scherzer on my team at this point at 40 years old. Sounds like some teams are interested, including the Brewers. I do not want to go down that road. Devin Williams, a little silent this past couple of days on some of the rumors out there. But somebody asked me the other day, Chuck, what would you think about Devin Williams keeping him until the trading deadline and then making a move then? Now, here's the problem. If you're in the pennant race, which I think the Brewers are going to be, and you made the move, you're just doing what you did with Josh Hader a couple of years ago. Like, imagine this past year. If Devin, again, he was hurt, but had they traded him at the All-Star break, knowing he was coming back, be like, what? No, the Brewers are never going to go down that road again. So they're not keeping him to hold on to him and to trade him at the All-Star break because they think they're going to contend. This isn't the 1996 Brewers where we're trading Greg Vaughn. That is not happening. So Devin Williams, if he gets traded, it'll be in the offseason. I'll be stunned as all get out if he does come back to the team and play, because if he's on this team, unless they are not in the pennant race, he would be on for the entire season. So that's that. All right, when we come back, we'll tell you about what's going to be going on at AmFam Field here in a couple of weeks to keep that baseball blood moving through our bodies. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win that $5 bet. That first bet, if you win it, $5, $150 is going to go into your account, and you could use it maybe on a money line play. I had won 18 in a row until that George Mason loss. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL in one place. And one thing I like to do in college basketball, I like to do this. I did this with Oregon last night. Oregon was down 10 points with 5 minutes to go. They were plus 250. Against Portland, they came back, tied it, went to overtime, and it was all Oregon. Plus 250. It's one of that bigger money line hits. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game like I did, or toward the end of the game, check out the stats, view the live play-by-play. You're all up to date on FanDuel, and you can place your wager right there. FanDuel.com. Join today. $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner, sportsbook partner of the NFL. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. A couple of notes here. Brewers opening day, which is March 27th at Yankee Stadium. ESPN has already announced it's going to be a broadcast on their channel. That means, the Brewers being broadcast on ESPN, not because they're the Brewers, it's because they're playing the Yankees. But ESPN, hey, congratulations, ESPN. You're going to get introduced to the Milwaukee Brewers for a first time in about 15 years on March 27th. That means unfortunately, there won't be any local broadcast of the game, which I would rather watch the local people than watching our team on the national. I know some of you like to see what the national people have to say about our team, but I prefer the local guys doing my Milwaukee Brewers. So that's coming up March 27th, Brewers, Yankees, that afternoon game, mid-afternoon game. That'll be on ESPN. The clubhouse sale is coming up, the annual clubhouse sale. They used to do this like on a Thursday or a Friday night. There was a couple times they just did it on a Saturday, December 6th and 7th. Now, what I like about this, and I believe it's like 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. What I like about this is because we're going in the Brewers, you go to visitor clubhouse, but you're just going into the stadium and being a part of that. Just walking through the hallways there and walking into the ballpark. I mean, who doesn't, if you live in Milwaukee or drive into Milwaukee, who doesn't look at AmFam Field when they're driving by longingly? It's like, oh man, God, there it sits. We won't be back there until beginning of April. Well, now December 6th and 7th, I go to the clubhouse sale just to go. On a Saturday afternoon, go there. You might find something, you might find a base you want, maybe an old jersey. Found myself an old Jerry Royster jersey a few years ago. That's about 15 years ago, but still. Jerry Royster was the interim manager when the Brewers lost like 108 games in 2001. Just something to keep baseball going. Just like our podcast here on Locked On Brewers. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Find us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We're on all the downloads, the audio versions. Also, go to our YouTube page, our growing YouTube page, search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Anytime you want to start a Brewers convo with me, you have some things you want to get off your chest, bounce something off of me, hey man, DM me, write me on Twitter, or if you feel you'd rather do it privately, DM me. I'll always get back to you. Might not be within the hour, maybe I'm sleeping or something like that, but I always get back to you. Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. For your second listen, Locked On MLB, you want to check out yesterday's episode. I was on with Selly on the national show, talking Brewers baseball with my guy Selly. That's going to do it for me. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have a good day, everybody.